Honest Tattooer is brought to you by Ink Maps, the ultimate tattoo app for tattooers. Upload your image and instantly read dominant colors and get precise color matches for any tattoo ink brand. You can mix colors, see how they look on your client's skin tone, and even explore value isolation and stencil creation. Compare brands, dive into color properties, and achieve perfect color harmony every time. Import your palettes into Procreate and Photoshop, plus conveniently attach projects to clients for future reference. You can simplify your tattoo process with Ink Maps. Download now and revolutionize your artistry. Use coupon code Honest Tattooer for 50% off your first year subscription. Honest Tattooer is also brought to you by Tattoo Armor, literally the best way to wrap your client at the end of the day. No mess, no adhesives, and they are super comfortable. You can try it for yourself by going to tattooarmorusa.com. They were able to hook us up with a 20% discount for our followers. Just use the code Honest Tattooer on your next order. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Honest Tattooer podcast. And this week we have a very special episode because I remembered to press the record button. So we have big boo-boo last week. So sorry about that, but we are back. And this week we have a special episode because we have a few friends with us. As always, I'm John Mesa and we have Matt Triano here in the building.
Hey.
And we have a few friends here in the house. What's up, Lalo?
Lalo, what's up, brother?
And we have Matt Buck.
Howdy.
And as always, our man G Money in the house. So guys, this week, normally we do something where we talk about something that we tattooed this week. But I wanted to switch it up and let's talk about interesting tattoo things that I saw on the internet this week. So to start it off, let's start with this short video of someone doing a fine line. And by fine, we're talking about the finest of lines, which is a single liner.
Man, we got to pull up the clip
letter
of the very first episode where you're like, it's so fine.
It's so fine. So without a further ado, let's fucking roll this tape. So first of all, she's using a red stencil to do this tattoo. That's why that red's there. At first I was like, is this like a red tattoo?
I don't know, man. Cause
Are you sure that red is not freehand?
Or maybe it's a red freehand. It could be just a red pencil. I mean a red pen.
Stencil.
Red stencil or red pen, whichever.
Yeah, either or. The first pass is just a bloodline though, which made me think was that after I watched it, I was like, man, was that red just like
bloodline?
Blood. Yeah.
Like just a bloodline.
But I watched it again and it actually is drawn.
Yeah, it looks like it's drawn.
Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
So, I mean, if I was going to do this tattoo, dude, I would have used like a 3-liner. I mean, big up to you, Sid Smith, for pulling this out with like a single. I think that's incredible.
I mean, the whole tattoo is really like the tattoo method is very unnecessary.
Maybe she's charging by the hour.
Yeah. Right.
I was like,
by the minute.
Elaborate on this. Cause I mean, like that's when I saw this, I was just like, why?
Yeah.
The first thing I just said, it was like, that's cool, but why though?
And
I don't think it's cool.
Tiny little delicate V looks overworked just looking at the, you know what I mean? Like too many passes on that line.
I mean, to me, the number one rule in tattooing is put the most ink inside with the least trauma. And when you use a single needle,
Correct.
You're not putting so much ink. You're making more holes in the skin, tiny holes, and putting very little skin ink because the ink stays in the, how do you call that, in the tube and in between the needles. That's why I don't use anything smaller than a 3. And there's going to be people like, oh, but I can do it. Yeah, you can do it. How long it takes you and does it heal right?
That's right.
You know, like I don't think single needle is necessary.
Unless you're in jail.
Exactly.
I really don't think single needle is necessary.
I'm going to have to agree.
It doesn't do nothing good.
Well, I don't know. Besides all the talk about single needles and red stencils and scarlet letters, I noticed that I think this is the first tattoo that I've seen done where the area being tattooed was not shaved at all. You see that?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't?
Nope.
Yeah.
Is that hair?
Should I hold that up to the camera?
Yeah, that's there.
That's hair? Yeah. Oh, there is a little bit of hair.
Oh, yeah.
Those are not single needle whip marks. That's hair.
I mean, that says it all. Next.
Hey, I mean.
But he's got a check mark, man. He's legit. She.
Yeah, she's legit,
them.
man. And
No, it works
Sid
super
Smith
clean.
has
Super crisp.
over 1 million followers on TikTok.
No. Oh,
Yeah.
TikTok.
On
Mazel
TikTok.
tov.
Yeah, but I mean, she has a whole lot of followers on.
And that's all she does?
That's all she does. She does really
I mean,
small,
she's
tiny
teaching
tabs.
people how to write.
You know,
Yeah,
I mean, she does
hold on.
other really small, fine line tattoos.
That was a bloodline, wasn't it?
The first pass was the bloodline, yeah.
Why
know?
though?
She
Well,
does
it
a
looks like-
lot of really small, fine line tattoos.
I want to see that healed.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the
So she has
right
she
arm
has
of the
healed,
V is a.
you know, all of us are talking over each other. She has a healed section on her page.
Okay.
She's hot.
There.
Of course.
She's very good looking.
You don't get almost 200,000 followers on Instagram and look ugly.
For some reason, I thought she was going to be Chinese.
Yeah, so she has a lot of like healed photos of her work. They're all very tasteful, and some of them look like just, you know, user, you know, like the client submitted photos, you know? They're all very dainty, very delicate. But then, like, for example, in some of them, you can tell like what we all know happens with certain lines, especially if there's not enough pigment, where the line starts breaking up.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like a super fine line and it's still very thin, but then there starts just disappearing. There's breaks in the lines. And that's just from not having enough pigment for the line to hold, not just through the first healing year, but of just like the body trying to eat up into that ink and
Yeah,
break it up.
Well, it needs some.
I have a question. Like, how much thinner do you want to get than a 3 round liner buck beam? That thing is like an eyelash. It's true. It's like, how much thinner do you want to get? It doesn't get thinner than that. When you use a single needle, you are not transporting
There's not enough
ink.
pigment
Yeah.
being held.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no pocket.
Exactly, because the reason the pigment travels is because of capillarity, of the tension of the ink inside the tube, and it has to have like a relationship with size. And then the needles keep this ink here, and they drive it, and then they make a hole, and the skin sucks the ink.
You know, I actually heard a pretty interesting theory that's a little bit different than the capillary action theory. I read about this theory in a little ebook by fantastic tattooer and machine builder Joshua Bowers. You guys know him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a book called The Right Tool for the Right Job, and it's about the mechanics of tattooing with rotary machines. And there's a section in there on how his theory on tattooing the most efficiently with the least trauma happens. And he gets into the nitty gritty, nerdy kind of stuff of how the ink gets sucked into the skin. But the capillary thing, I think if I remember correctly, he gives an illustration of it being like a boot where you step in the mud and you pull your foot out of the mud and the mud sucks your boot off of your foot and it stays in the mud. And that's sort of the illustration of how capillary action is working. And he doesn't agree with that. I think I remember him saying that the skin is not like mud. So the mechanics, the physics of it are a little bit different. He believes that, and this seems to kind of make a little bit of sense to me too, that what's happening to deposit the ink into the skin is that as the needle is going into the skin and as the machine is moving forward, when the needle's in there and the machine moves forward, it kind of opens a little bit of a pocket behind the needle when you're coming in at an angle. And then when that pocket is open, the ink is flowing down to fill into that pocket. So the longer that pocket stays open, the more ink gets in there with each hit of the machine. So he recommends in his book, essentially, if you're using rotaries, don't turn the machine up really high if you're trying to get saturation. Don't run the machine really fast. Run it a bit slower, but keep your hand speed the same so that you're opening up this pocket and that more ink is flowing in on each hit because the needles are staying in the skin longer. And I think he was saying that, you know, if the capillary action theory were true, then coil machine builders would be building their machines to retract as quickly as possible, but that's not what they're doing. And I think this also makes sense if you think about how Tabori tattoos are done, right? You see Tabori guys doing it and they're so much more efficient than machines, right? Because imagine how many times is a Tabori guy hitting the skin and getting a solid saturation versus a machine. You know, machine's hitting hundreds, if not thousands of times more to get the same level of saturation as doing it by hand. Why is the hand more efficient? probably because it's so much slower than a machine hitting, right? So that hole behind the needle strike is staying open longer for more ink to flow in there. So anyways, just that was a little tangent on Lalo's capillary.
Wait, when I talk about capillarity, is not even what I mentioned there. It was not even in the moment where the ink goes into the skin, but like the needles holding the ink. Like you need those 3 needles to have 1 drop of ink in there, so the ink makes it into the skin. When you have 1 needle, the ink stays in the tube, and that needle just pierces through that drop and it doesn't fall.
Yeah, so there's not as much of like a channel bringing the ink down into the hole.
Capillary action, though, like the way that I think of capillary action is, I don't know if any of you have ever soldered copper pipe, but the
all the time.
So the capillary action when you're soldering, you take the hot solder, or you take the solder against the hot pipe, and the capillary action is what's sucking the solder all the way around the joint. So that suction, that movement of the solder going around, you don't have to move your hand and get the whole thing around the pipe. Just the capillary action is what's causing that solder to suck right around into that joint.
Kind of like when you have a paper towel that touches some wet ink, right? And then all the ink sucks up.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's more relatable to tattooers.
To add to what Matt was saying about the Tabori method, which is, just like really clicked in my head. Like if you really pay attention to the sound and the technique of when Tabori is being applied, there's like almost like a clicking, like snapping sound. And that's the Tabori, the needles penetrating the skin, but also like the flicking of like the hand and the wrist, which is creating like almost like a purposeful, like a snagging of the needles as he works and he saturates. And I believe that like prolonged pocket that is created with the needles hanging up on the skin as they're entering, but also yet tugging slightly on their exit is what helps with a lot of like depositing with something like, like if you're trying to go for something very solid application wise.
Right.
That's just like what goes through my head when I'm thinking about these things in slow motion.
Right.
I mean, it does make sense.
Yeah, and that tugging of the Tabori, I think, would be sort of synonymous with the forward movement of the tattoo machine.
Well, sick.
All right.
Look at that.
That was a lot of time on that.
I know. We just saw one little thing and we learned a lot on it. So the next thing that I saw that was very interesting this week was this phenomenal black and gray Japanese tattoo that has some of the smoothest grays I've ever seen. Ever.
So if you guys follow our Instagram page, I posted this a few days ago.
This tattoo has like tricks on tricks on tricks.
And they're not just for kids.
No, this is
Beautiful.
just masterful work.
Yeah. Say the name. What's the name?
This tattoo is by Chen Tattooer. Let's see where he's from.
It's from Beijing.
He's from Beijing. Man, he's Chen __ tattooer.
Look at that solid black.
And the solid black is beautiful. Everything is so smooth in this tattoo. It's pretty incredible.
All right. So that large field starting at the armpit, almost down to half his arm, that transition of smooth grays.
It's insane.
That is very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
Very hard to do.
Yeah.
Not only would that be really hard to do if that was the only thing there, but having to go
Around
the negative.
Around.
the blades of grass.
Correct.
Is a pain in the butt.
There were a couple of people on our Instagram after I posted this who were saying, oh, this is either edited like all hell or this whole thing is AI. And people were even going as far as saying, look at the background. The background even looks like it's an AI generated image.
No, it's just, he's just that good.
This is pretty incredible.
Hate.
This tattoo is one of those situations where you see something that is like at first glance, if you don't know what you're looking at, you're like, oh, that looks like there's not a lot going on, you know?
No, it's a beauty.
Because it's very minimal. Like everything's like just simple shading, but it's executed. It's done in a such masterful
It's
way.
in a such like zen way.
Yeah.
Like you to tattoo like that, you have to like be so centered. You know,
Oh,
like
for
you
sure.
cannot be thinking about your problems or anything. Like, he has to be very zen, and there's a lot of love in this tattoo. You know, he's not tattooing to charge this guy some money or to like, okay, I need to be done by this hour. He's just there, and he
is present.
Yeah.
He's got nothing to worry about. He doesn't have any baby mama problems.
Maybe he does. Maybe this is
a light bill.
Wait, I have a question now that I'm watching this video
No
for the third or
stress.
fourth time. Did he censor this guy's nipple with a sticker?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the algorithm takes it down sometimes.
Oh, okay. I haven't posted anything since February, so I'm a little out of the loop on that.
You haven't posted any nipples?
Yeah, or anything in general.
And I'm obsessed with the mirror image of that crane on the water. It's just so good.
Oh, wait, what?
What, you didn't realize that's what's happening here? Look.
Wait.
The crane is.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize that either.
I didn't realize that.
You
I thought
just
there was
guys
another
just.
bird down there.
I just blew you guys freaking. It is a mirror image. The guy, the
reflection.
Yes, the
Man's just flipping
reflection.
it on
Water.
us.
It's a narcissist
It is the
crane.
reflection.
That Uno reverse card.
Yes.
I should have known.
It's so sick, dude. It's so sick.
And
Wow.
are those little white negative circles?
It is the ripple of the.
No. Not the ripples. There's like 3 little white dots. Are those stars reflecting in the water as well?
I don't know.
See those 3 little white
Yeah. I
dots?
see the
One near
little dots of
dragonfly.
water. It could be like
One
either
near his
little bubble
beak.
waters or
bubbles.
anything like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Could be bubbles.
But
Whatever it is, it's cool.
It's cool. It's just such a light, small little detail. And
It's
you're
a
like,
good way to go
holy
around mold.
crap.
So one of my favorite parts is that as it transitions into the lower arm and it's the reflection of the bird on the water, I really like how there is really no just hard black outline. So there's a lot of control in the soft grays, which just gives it that effect of like just that haze underwater as that ripple happens. I'm telling you, this thing is
He's a painter. Like you can tell that gray is also like contaminated by some green, by like the green of the round things in the front on the top.
Yes.
Like it's not just like, oh, let me get this eternal black gray set and that's it, straight from the bottle. Like the temperature of these grays have like a really good relationship.
Yeah.
That's how he creates that atmosphere too, you know?
Yeah, it looks so good, man. And if you're only listening to us, I urge you to watch this podcast and then replay this video multiple times. It's definitely worth looking at and studying. It's fabulous work.
Look at the reflection of the swan, how the contour of the swan's neck breaks on each wave.
With the ripples,
Yeah, with the ripples, man. It's freaking wild.
That's
like, look at this
the
one right
more you look at this, the more you notice. You know, at first it looks so simple, right?
Yeah, and then you're like, this is not simple
then
at
you
all.
really start
dude.
looking at it, and then you're like,
There's
wow,
nothing.
The attention to detail is incredible.
Yeah.
The attention,
This is something that you need I call it like a plan of attack sheet. Like you probably have to take notes. Maybe he has done it so many times that this is his method and he doesn't do it anymore. But so for something like that, you gotta sit down and make almost like a list of steps. Because if you don't do it on the way, you might. It's so technical because it's so technical that you might just do something that is gonna kill all this softness and all these things, right?
Yeah. Man, doing a project like that, man, could you imagine he already got like 3/4 of that blend smooth and then the guy sneezes.
oh man.
And just like,
No.
and you're like, oh, my blend is just a little bit darker now than there at one point. Oh man.
Have you guys ever talked about the best / worst sneezing story during a tattoo I've ever heard?
No, not yet, but hold on to that thought.
All right.
Hold on to that. We're going to bring it.
Okay.
All right.
So just one more note on how simple at first this tattoo looks. First glance at it, it reminds me of a quote I saw painted on the wall of the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas the first time I went there for a friend's bachelor party.
I was gonna say you're so sophisticated. I didn't think it was like Vegas. I thought it was Venetian.
Yeah.
So you were at the whorehouse and what?
No, we were at the gambling den in the Venetian, and there was a Leonardo da Vinci exhibit in the hotel. I don't know if it's a permanent thing or not, but they had a bunch of Da Vinci quotes painted on the wall, and one of them was, "Simplicity is the essence of genius." Da Vinci.
We need a sound effect.
Give us a sound effect.
That's one of those. That's like, yeah, that's one of those. But that's a fact, man. Simplicity is the essence of genius. That tattoo has it all over it. It's really
Water
impressive.
is the essence of moisture.
Oh man.
Oh my god!
All right.
Yeah.
So
Next.
moving on. I just
Man,
I just sent something to the DMs also. I want to talk about this one next.
Okay.
I have never heard of this before. It's magnetic tattoo removal.
What?
Yeah, go check it out.
We'll start
What
from the
the
beginning.
what the fuck?
Hold on.
It's a-
It doesn't pierce the skin because it looks.
Yeah, that's piercing.
It's definitely piercing.
It definitely
'cause
piercing
it
the
looks like
skin.
it's doing trauma. No, hold on.
It's
It
safer
uses
than
vibration.
Doesn't push ink into your body like laser does.
Hold on.
Oh my God. You see how many kids are going to start
way.
erasing their
Those
tattoos?
little cotton things look like they're
What?
covered in diarrhea.
This does. I don't understand.
I don't
this.
know. Yo.
Okay.
I mean, I would like to know more. Do we have a guy like Joe
I know,
Rogan
I'm-
with the facts?
I'm intrigued.
Well, I'm going to Google it.
My feeling about this is, I don't know. It sounds fucking like, I don't know, man. I mean, they're experimenting clearly still, I feel like, about this. I don't feel like,
So for the people who are not watching this, what's happening is basically it looks like they're tattooing over the tattoo that's there. And I can only assume that the needles that they're using are magnetic needles. And the theory is that the magnets are drawing out the tattoo ink. And then after all the tattoo ink is pretty much on the surface of the skin, they then wipe it
they
away.
wipe it away.
Okay.
But how is this process magnetic?
I don't understand that.
Well, so
part.
the theory is there's magnetic components to the tattoo ink.
Yeah,
Which is why
I
there's
would
the whole
imagine
thing like you're not supposed to go into an MRI if you have tattoo ink, if you have tattoos, because the magnets are going to pull your tattoos out of your body.
I just had an
Oh, you
MRI.
never heard that before?
I just had an MRI.
Yeah, no.
I've never
You
heard
have to
that
list
before.
where you have
Yeah,
tattoos, but
People have that like it's like flat earthers, you know, like they have this theory that
mean-
you're not supposed to get it because tattoo ink has magnetic properties to it.
they do ask you when you get an MRI, which I just did because I got some herniated discs in the lower back, which sucks. But they do ask you if you have tattoos when you're preparing for an MRI.
Yeah.
Like doctors.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
PhD, MDs ask you that.
So
But-
so this theory is, I guess, going based off of that the magnets in these needles are going to draw out the ink because they're magnetic.
But that's assuming that every component of the ink is magnetic.
Right.
I'm assuming that there probably are, different compounds, different things on the periodic table of elements or whatever that are magnetically charged that make up these pigments. Maybe those will get drawn out.
yeah, but not everything.
Magnet.
According
yeah,
to this, it
there
says,
are definitely-
however, magnetic tattoo removal has proven to be highly effective on all colors and ink types. Line Linda Paradise technique. This sounds like advertising to me.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
of course.
One, this is being offered at a day spa.
Is this-
And it just seems like a beauty procedure. It seems very similar to micro needling, and it looks like they're using like a big round shader type of needle. It looks like but I mean, those needles are special, I guess, because they have.
I'm looking at another photo on their account on June's Day Spa after 2 sessions of magnetic tattoo removal. It's the triangle from the video, right? 2 of the triangles from the video after 2 sessions. And you can clearly see around the perimeter of the tattoo, the skin is quite a bit lighter, right? Than the rest of the skin, like a suntan, tan lines kind of a thing. I wonder if, and the ink does look quite a bit more faded. Granted, though, they're different lighting conditions, but you can definitely see, the right line on the lower triangle is definitely a lot less there. I just wonder, for the sake of, a controlled experiment, if you just tattooed water over another tattoo or just dry needles over another tattoo, with standard needles, not magnetic needles. Would that amount of trauma cause
Is
some
this what it
fallout
is?
as
I mean,
well?
are these magnetic needles? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is
That's what they're saying, or that is what they're claiming.
So look, I used to, when I did screw ups, one time I did, but this is my very early stages, so I didn't really get it. I would like just tattoo with a lot of but it was while I was doing the tattoo, and it did work into removing a little bit.
We're just kind of scrubbing it out.
Yeah, just make it bleed enough so the ink would come out. But it was like a little line and it wouldn't come out completely. So I don't think it's effective. Then at some point, one friend, not me, was working with this woman that was doing laser removal. And she had this solution that you would tattoo into people. And that thing would go into the skin and like eat up the skin, the ink. You could only tattoo like a square inch at a time. And this is 15 years ago.
I bet I know what that solution is.
What is it?
Some acid,
Yeah.
Bleach.
bleach.
No, it wasn't bleach. It was something. It was something harder than that.
What?
My friend did it once, and he was like, "I don't want to do this anymore." And they were charging $400 for that for 1 inch.
Wow.
And they started removing like a big tattoo like that, 1 inch at a time, $400. And he did it, and he was like, "No way, Jose.
This is not going to be good."
Like he saw, of course, the photos of that healing and all that. And it was like a scab like that. And like it hurt. And the person was sending photos with like, no way.
I used to work at a biker shop, and there was a guy that came in who had a little tattoo on his hand that he needed to get removed. We didn't do it at the shop, but he said that he went to a place that they tattooed bleach over the spot. It didn't completely remove it, but it definitely lightened it.
That's crazy.
That's freaking scary, dude. Like, dude, they say don't get bleach on your skin, dude. Imagine getting it tattooed into your body. That sounds
It depends how much you hate that tattoo.
Oh, man. Get it blacked out.
I once had a pretty bad reaction to some dark red pigment, a tattoo on a rose on my shin. One of my buddies said, "Oh, I know a trick to, help with that." And he mixed up a solution of, I think it was just like distilled water and baking soda. Tattooed that over it.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
That's actually smart.
I've heard of the baking soda trick.
And it did it.
Well, it did it for a time. And now I've got a, pretty raised section that,
Because now it's double
probably
trouble.
got to go to a dermatologist about that.
Shit.
On that note, I live in the jungle. You get sometimes from walking barefoot in the rainy season, if you walk wherever this animal shit, they have parasites and it gets mixed with the water. And if you have an open cut, it goes into your skin. And you get these tiny, I forget what's the name in English, tiny worms that start eating up your skin, looking for a vein to go into your lungs, colonize the lungs. And well, it's crazy.
Man, I saw an episode of Monsters Inside Me all about that.
Okay.
my God,
I
sounds
got them.
terrifying.
I had it.
You had it?
What?
Dude, I thought I was gonna die. People would look at me and hear like, you're gonna lose your toes. And I had no electricity, so no internet,
Not your toes.
no water. For 5 days, I couldn't walk even to the bathroom. It looks like aliens, like you have aliens under your thing, right? So
shit, dude.
Like you see them wiggling around.
you don't see them wiggling around. You see the tunnels. Like it looks like blisters, but like they.
What?
So everybody was like, "There's only one way to get it out. You take a ball pen like that and
crazy,
hit both
bro.
sides, hoping to hit the head." And then the other thing people said, like, you can only get it out if you go to a healer and he prays on it. And I was willing to do whatever. And then a friend of mine, he was like, I got it many times and I took the anti-parasite thing and it worked, but then they came back. So then I crushed the anti-parasite thing and I put it on me or whatever. I did it. I got rid of them. And then a few months later, I was coming to New York to work, and the day I'm going to the airport, the day before, I see them again. And I'm like, no way. I cannot go to New York and like this. And then I was like, bam. I bought the pills because you cannot be taking that all the time because it's very heavy on your liver. I took them, crushed them, mixed them with water, and tattooed myself with a 3 needle on the little tracks that I had.
Was the bottom of your foot?
It was on the in between my finger and my toes. In between my toes. No, but trust me, it felt good because this thing hurts and it totally has this feeling like woo, like it's getting more and more and more, and it hurts. Like it actually that pain felt good because it was a relief and it was an automatic relief. Boom, done.
Wow.
Do you see them escape?
No. I think they're not even a millimeter long. Like you don't see them.
Wow.
They're so tiny.
Yeah.
You tattooed your parasites to death.
Yeah. I did tramp stamps on their back.
Holy crap, dude. That sounds wild.
Next one.
All right. So check this out, guys. So this video is by Rixard Tattoo.
He sounds pretty Rick-sarded.
Dude, so for you guys that aren't watching this video starts off with a guy making pottery. And then he starts tattooing the piece of pottery
As it's spinning.
as it's spinning. And then that piece of pottery becomes a human being that also starts getting tattooed as it's spinning around.
A real human being. Like
A real human
he actually
being.
sees someone there.
Yes.
The real hero.
Yes. And man, so this guy, I've seen his stuff before. He's kind of notorious for doing these
Performance tattoos.
performance tattoos where I've seen him do it like where he's like doing a piggyback ride and the person that's getting tattooed is also getting a piggyback ride on another person and they're just walking around a park. Or
Oh, is he the one that was doing the bombing down the hill on the skateboards, tattooing each other?
I don't think he can.
that's a
skateboard.
different person.
This guy doesn't look like he can
Yeah,
skateboard.
that's a different person, but they're definitely not motivated by these dudes.
For sure.
And then, I mean, I've seen this dude do a lot of things like that. I saw one the other day where there's one guy drawing and the person behind them is tattooing on them what they're drawing. And then vice versa. There's another person tattooing that person.
Like you draw what you feel like is happening on your back?
And,
Okay.
and so on.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he does stuff that has shock value.
Right.
Tattoo wise, he's like, whatever.
Now, do you guys think that these people are paying for this?
I would hope not.
I don't think these people are paying for
RIX.
this.
I think we need to throw this guy in jail.
No, I think we need to let him be.
Oh,
Straight to jail.
I thought this was based on your description before seeing the video when you said, oh, the pottery turns into a real person. I thought you meant like special effects wise.
Like a sculpture?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Like
That's what I interjected there, and I said a real human being.
Yeah.
okay, no, like a flesh and blood.
It is a human being. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It is a person getting
No,
tattooed
come on.
on a spinning pottery wheel.
No.
I mean, his whole thing is the shock value of like tattoos are permanent forever. So let's do the most stupid thing we can do, and like that's what they get off on.
This is
Is that like shock value though?
Well,
And yeah.
for some,
yeah.
we're talking about it.
I just
Wait,
think
is
it's
he he's tattooing her while she's spinning, or he's just like free-handing her while she's spinning and
No, tattooing her.
He's tattooing her. Yeah. He doesn't really freehand anything. He just goes for it.
Even
I mean-
the pottery's bad. Even like the
Wait, is he using the same needle that touched the clay to tattoo her and get
Probably.
it's a clay?
Maybe.
No.
He might have
All
rinsed
right,
it off.
That's where you draw the line.
Wait, what a minute.
that's the deal breaker.
He
Yeah.
does a lot of tattoos like this that are just very
All of it.
crazy. But I mean, to me, it's like, even though I do think it's kind of interesting, like what he's doing from like an artistic standpoint, like just performance-y art, still like that person has to live with that for the rest of their life. And this thing is going from their arms all the way around to their back.
Well, if he gets enough notoriety and things like that, there's people that they're going to be drinking a beer and smoking a joint, and he's going to be, oh, I have one of those pieces. Which one? And then you're going to look, oh, you have that one. I have this one. You know, like there's
You know what I don't understand about performance art or even like installation art? Is that what it's called? If you have a tangible piece of art that can then get resold, people can invest in that, hold on to it for a couple of years
Right.
and then sell it again. Like there's money, there's actual value to that. How does this guy make any money doing this?
That's a great question.
I mean,
I'm curious
performance
about
artists
this stuff.
usually make money from grants and things like that. You know, like or some of them can sell the blueprint to the piece and things like that. But it's usually like grants and things like that.
Or money laundering.
Or money laundering.
Or that's where the grants
I
are.
saw about this one artist that does like, performance art. And she did this thing where she sat on this chair, I forget, in a museum. And then people would sit across from her
Yeah, the witch, Marina Abramovic.
Yeah, and they would just stare at each other for a certain amount of time. And many people would sit there and switch, and then her like ex came and sat across from her. And then without words, they hadn't seen each other in a real long time, and then they would both just start crying. No words said.
No, the question is, did she know he was coming?
Who knows? We'll never know.
Did she set it up?
Was it all set up? Was it part of the performance? You don't know.
Do you have like the Twilight line?
How do you
sound effect?
But the whole thing is like, how do you how is that monetized? How does that become like or is it just art that's not meant to be monetized and it's just the performance of it all?
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be it.
But really well-known people monetize on it. Like, and it's usually grants and things like that.
Okay.
But after the fact, how do they monetize on it? Like after you did the performance, you recorded it. Now you just have a videotape of what happened.
I mean, it's like anything else. Like in the start, they don't make money, but if you become someone, then she probably got paid for that museum, and from that museum, and then from there, other people want her to come here. Like they want her to be, I think, the Minister of Culture in Ukraine right now.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Wow.
They actually say she's a Satanist. I forget what for. Like she's done some crazy shit with kids. I don't remember what.
Yeah, all the like pedophilia, baby sacrifice,
Yeah, bro.
like eating blood off of naked people kind of stuff. Yeah.
She loves using blood a lot.
And when I was in my first year at college, we went over to see an installation piece over on Worcester Street.
Yeah.
And it was called the Earth Room. And all it was a stark white gallery, and half of the room was divided with like a raised like planter bed, essentially, with just dirt in it, just rich black dirt. And that was it.
That was it.
That was it. I was like, what do you, what's the, just call some landscapers, just throw some dirt in this room and there's your art piece.
It's art.
All right. When I was looking at art colleges, I remember one of the colleges I was looking at was Cooper Union. My grandfather, who was an artist, went to Cooper Union. We go there and it's gone from, really classical realist stuff to very conceptual. And so we're looking around at the student show and it's all just like, I don't know, there's like lines of string with like notes hanging off of a string and just weird stuff. And in the corner of the room, there was a pile of desks and chairs that were like, it must have been like 20 feet tall. It was huge cathedral ceilings in this place. And I was like, whoa, that like mountainous pile of desks and chairs is really cool. It kind of reminds me of like the elephant graveyard from the Lion King, right? When Simba's like going down. And I asked the tour guide, what's that piece? And he goes, oh, that's just where we put all the desks and chairs.
Exactly.
That's when we only put this other thing up here. Oh my God, dude. That's hilarious.
So you didn't go to school there, I'm guessing.
It was a hard pass.
I thought you were going to say that there was like that mountain of things and that you like went back and sat down on something like, sir, don't sit on the art. And then
They would have said that too.
Okay. So another story kind of like that. When I was doing my apprenticeship over at Sacred Tattoo, the manager at the time asked me if I wanted to help him out volunteering at the Art Walk, which is like a charity fundraiser auction where they would have some pretty famous modern artists auctioning off pieces. Like Chuck Close came that night and he was auctioning off a print that I think the opening bid was like 70 grand on it. Crazy stuff.
damn.
Yeah. And so our job was to help administer the silent auction where the patrons would come up and they would fill out like a little ballot with how much they wanted to bid on a piece and then put it in a little box. We just had to sort of explain the instructions to them. In my section that I was supposed to look over, there were a couple pieces on the wall and two podiums where they would have sculpture, 3D art on. And one of them in my section was a piece by Yoko Ono. She wasn't there, but her piece was. And it was this little oval shaped aluminum tin that had some business cards with Japanese writing on them. That was the piece. I think if I remember correctly, the opening bid on that was like $500. Anyways, throughout the night, people kept setting their drinks down on the podium and their empty food plates. And I had to keep telling everybody, I'm sorry, this is,
this is $500,000 worth of art.
There's art on here. This isn't just some random stuff. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that was art. And, that would have been good enough. But when Chuck Close was going to give a speech in the other section of the gallery, I wanted to go and record it. My stepmom's favorite artist, so I wanted to get a video of Chuck Close speaking that, right? And so I leave for about 5 minutes and I come back. When I come back, the plinth that had Yoko Ono's piece was empty. The piece was gone. It's like, oh my, the manager comes running up to me and goes, please tell me you know where Yoko Ono's piece is. And I was like, what? And then it kind of clicked me. I'm like, oh my gosh, when I was away, I wasn't there to tell everybody not to put their food plates and their drinks on that plinth. So they must have been putting their food and drinks on there. And then the people that were cleaning up there must have come by and just swept everything into the garbage because it just looked like random stuff gone.
Oh man, don't hire Matt Buck to watch your art. That's what we learned today.
I mean, it wasn't my job to guard it. I was just there to tell people how to do the auction.
Oh man, nobody knew.
How many poor families you could have fed with that?
For real, dog.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
Last one.
And then we're on the very last one.
The big one.
Oh,
Corny.
So, Paramount Network announces the new season of Ink Master. This is season 15. And they announced a new judge, DJ Tambi. And of course, we have 20 new contestants, and I am one of those guys.
Mazel tov.
In this season, 20 of the world's best tattoo artists gather for a competition to battle it out for a grand prize of, I don't know, really.
A couple months rent in New York.
Lots of moolah, baby. Lots of moolah. So
Let me ask you something. You did some welding?
I used a welding machine there. It's pretty cool.
How'd that go?
I've never welded one day in my life. So
How well did you do?
you guys,
How well did you
English
so man, I'll tell you guys, I'll tell you guys nothing actually, because what we're going to talk about is about you guys' experiences in the world of Ink Master. So both Lalo and Matt Buck have been on Ink Master in the past, and
both of Lalo and Matt didn't have what it takes to be an
But if you want to listen to it, you got to go to the next episode. Because we're already an hour in, so we're going to make this a two-parter.
all right, cool.
Oh, snap.